Hey, welcome everyone to episode 2 of the Weekly Orbit. We can get the TLDR on the top stories of Rocketpool for the week ending May 5th, 2023. I'm Pat with my co-host Whack from the Refuel, and we're going to tackle this week's headlines, which are Hodja from the Rocketpool community breaks down the best time to split your 16 ETH mini pool into two 8 ETH mini pools. The HOP protocol has passed a proposal to bridge rETH to the L2s, and a staking as a service provider is built on top of Rocketpool. That's exciting. And of course, we'll check this week's Rocketpool stats and price. But before we do, how was your week, Whack? How do you like that new introduction, by the way?
Oh, it's looking really good. It's like super polished and it's like way better than my introduction. So
Yeah.
I really like it. No, I'm just joking. Like it's a really nice piece of work that you put together there. It's
Well,
looking
actually, here at the Weekly Orbit, we've got a staff of hundreds of people who
nice.
contribute to the
Yeah,
production of this. So actually, it was a little bit of Mid-Journey, along with a little bit of Photoshop, a little bit of iMovie, and
nice.
we're good to go. So
Yeah, I tell people that I'm like a huge boomer when it comes to like editing stuff. I don't do any of that stuff. So yeah,
yeah, it's been a learning curve for sure
nice.
for me as well. I mean, look
Yeah,
at all this gray hair. It's wisdom.
I've got a gray beard too. So yeah.
So, yeah, without further ado, let's get into the week's headlines. But before we do that, let's take a look at the stats. I know you love stats, and a good place to start with stats is, of course, the Rocketpool Explorer. And we're going to take a look at first the daily stats broken down since last week. We can see this. We're depositing anywhere from 3 to 5,000 ETH per day, which is great to see. I mean, today, May 5th, the day we're recording this, we're already up at over 5,600 ETH. So it's been a good,
Do you know why
Friday.
that is? If you just scroll up a little bit, you'll see why that is. Okay, right there, the top one on that latest
Oh,
deposits. Look at that. Isn't that glorious?
5,000 ETH. Now, that
Yeah,
would have filled the queue just, a month ago,
yeah,
right? It had been empty, 5,000. So in, one transaction, bam, that's great to see. If we zoom out a little bit to the weekly, you can see that the week ending April 30th, 21,000 ETH. The week before that was 32,000. Of course, that was the week of the LS upgrade. So we're buzzing along here. This little campfire is starting to burn.
absolutely. Yeah. And the monthly chart is really amazing here because as you can see from May, we've already had 20,000 ETH deposited. That would actually make us like the fourth or fifth best rank month overall. Let alone like we've only had 5 days. It's amazing growth that we're seeing right here. Really,
Yeah,
really fantastic.
absolutely. Yeah, let's hope this continues. Although with the gas prices this last week, it may put a little damper on some of the smaller users because
Yeah.
some of this has to be done on L1, unfortunately.
But
But,
if you scroll up and look at that depositor again, the 5,000 ETH one, look how much they paid in gas for that transaction.
yeah, 2 ETH just for a $5,000 ETH deposit.
Yeah.
So yeah, for a big whale like that, what's 2 ETH, right? But
Yeah.
for
The rewards for 3 days of staking for that person will be 2 ETH.
yeah,
They're making around 0.7 ETH a day, 0.69 ETH a day.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
nice.
So for that, it's no big deal.
Nope.
Let's move on to the next one. So I wanted to highlight this. This is from one of our community members. Dr. Worm has done a
Mm.
great Dune analytics dashboard. This is your one-stop shop, folks. If you want to see everything about Rocketpool, statistics wise, this is it.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got everything on here, from the RPL ETH ratio to the rETH supply, which is at 200. By the way, this might hit 300,000 maybe in the next day or so. We're at 295,640.
Yeah.
One particular stat we'll mention in this segment is down here, where we measure the number of new LEB8 mini pools.
Yeah.
Right now we're at 5,231. we've got a total of 3,229 LEB bond reductions. So we've created almost 8,500 new LEB 8 mini pools since Atlas.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like we in line now to go over 20,000 mini pools as we clear the queue. So I think we'll be hitting the next couple of days. It's really, really great growth, and I'm really happy to see it.
Sure. A little interesting little tidbit here is solo staker migrations. Dr. Worms measured about 98 that
Yeah.
have, so that's good. Almost 100 solo stakers have moved over just in the last
Yeah.
couple of weeks.
I think that number is a little bit disappointing, in all honesty. I was hoping personally that we'd see like a big chunk more than that, but the solo stakers, you have to remember, are like the most passionate, most dedicated. Like these are the kind of people who are like so focused on their stake, right? Like they don't want to add any layer of smart contract risk on top of that by
Mhm.
going to Rocketpool. And I understand that, and that's fine. But the fact that we've had 100 of them so far is really cool. I think it
Yeah,
was kind of like a one-time thing, pretty much, because we as people change their credentials, then if they want to do that again, they'll have to exit to come back in. So it might be that people in the next months and stuff, it might be that they exit and then they can come back in. So they won't appear as solo staker migrations, they'll just appear as new LEB8 mini pools.
sure, sure. Yeah, and
Yeah.
perhaps over time, we're still early. It's only been 2 or 3 weeks.
Hmm.
What I'd really like to see is where are we 6 months out from now,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. But what I'm saying is like that
Mm,
solo staker migration number might not go up too much more.
mhm.
And that's
Oh, I
okay.
see.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
there'll be other ways that we can capture that information. So that capture those stakers, yeah, those
sure.
new node operators. That's really good too. Like the number of new node operators, we're having our best period ever since launch, basically. So
Yeah,
it's really great to
that's
see.
great.
Yeah.
Okay, another little stat. Rocketpool has attained 3% share of all ETH staked on that beacon chain. Okay, that's we're at about 93,879. We were kind of around 2% for quite a long time, and we're growing. So we're up to over 3% now.
Yeah.
Um, hopefully we'll continue on that and perhaps get into double digits someday. We'll see.
Yeah, and there's things in the pipeline now that I think will get us to double digits within the next year. I think if not higher than 10%. Um, but that of course we'll see that in the weeks and months to come. But
What
with
kind of
it, this
things? What kind of things do you see in the pipeline?
I'm seeing our whales going from LEB like mini pool 16s to LEB 8s. That in itself will create another 5 to 8,000 mini pools worth of demand
Mhm.
from their conversions. And then on the other side, there's RVE mode that I think we're going to start seeing progress on now that Mark Zeller is back from vacation. He's put it as his number one item on his list of things that
Yeah.
he wants done. Um, and that hopefully should come in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Those things blended together means that even without adding a single new node operator, we'll be able to like massively increase our TVL, potentially double our TVL in that time. So
Right.
because you have to remember now, right? Like each LEB8 carries 3 times more rETH than we did with a mini pool 16 because the you can mint more rETH per validator now than you could before. So every whale of ours, like I'm thinking Thomas, Marceau, Marco Barco with Patricio in their marriage. If any of those guys decide to go to LEB8s, which they might do as the queues clear, then because we'll be talking about that later, right? But as the queues get cleared, then they'll be I think they'll switch over, and when they switch over, then that is when some really good stuff's gonna happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah,
think it's got a good future too.
yeah.
All right. Finally on the stats, RPL price. Okay. Right now we're ticking around $50 in US dollars. We started the week at about $47 and an ETH ratio price of 0.0247.
Yeah.
And we ended the week around, in terms of the ratio, we're at about 0.026 or so. And that, if I did my math right, that's about a 5% increase. So
Hmm.
RPL appreciating 5% a week against ETH. anytime you appreciate against ETH in a week to me is a win.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
RPL's
So
been doing that all for a long time now, appreciating against ETH. So it's good to continue to see.
absolutely, yeah. The more you pull out on that chart, the better it looks against ETH. It's really great. But this week has been really nice to see because um, we got some consolidation for the last few weeks in terms of price around like the kind of mid 40s price range. And
Mhm.
then since then, we've kind of moved up a level. And a lot of people in the TA space, the technical analysis space, are saying that we've broken resistance and now we're charting a path towards new bullish period. That like it kind of lines up with the fundamentals. So there is this idea that the price is primed to do some good stuff. Of course, Pat, this is not financial advice. We
Of
don't
course.
offer financial advice on this show. This is just an entertainment show. But the people are speculating that this is potentially a very good period for Rocketpool that we have already been in and also coming up. So
Right.
that's what we're here
Yeah. I
for.
mean, you do see a correlation between the fundamentals of the protocol and the price of RPL, which is great. You don't see that necessarily in crypto a lot. A lot of times you see, I mean, we could talk about, was it Pepe,
Mm,
whatever you call it, a meme
Pepe, yeah.
coin has no fundamentals at all, except it's just casino gambling. And, but with Rocketpool, you really see as Atlas has deployed, RPL ratio has gone up as well because there's just fundamental basis behind the protocol.
Absolutely. And that chart basically starts right at the FTX collapse,
Yeah,
where we hit pretty much down to $14, I think, $15 on the USD valuation. And on the ETH valuation, we were down at 0.012. So
right.
in the US dollar terms, we've done nearly a 3x in that time, or 2.5x.
But
And the
yeah,
ETH terms, we've done a 2x in that time. So I don't think there's any token that has outperformed that since that date.
yeah. In fact, I saw an image this morning. Top 50 coins the last 30 days. RPL. The only thing that's beaten RPL is, I guess, Bitcoin in
Yeah,
terms of
that's right.
last.
From
Yeah,
Benjamin Cowan shared that. Yeah, but
yeah. I
like I'm
saw
saying,
that.
if you cherry pick your data a little bit more and go to the last 6 months, I think RPL will be the top performing token or one of the very top performing tokens in that time.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a
All
good
right.
6 months.
So let's move on to our headlines. So, what we like to do in the weekly orbit is always try to highlight any community members done really excellent work. We've got so many of them, and that's what makes Rocketpool such a strong protocol. And Hodja has created this heat map of trying to answer this question. If you've got a 16 ETH mini pool, when is the best time to split it into two LEB8s? And he's broken it down. And for our listeners, he gives an example here. If gas is 30 Gwei and the queue, the Rocketpool queue is 21 days, it'll take 160 days to break even on profit. So I'm assuming this excludes RPL rewards. This excludes smoothing pool. This is just pure consensus layer ETH
Yeah,
rewards,
I
correct?
I think so. Yeah, but the it kind of works out the same way, right? Because those rewards tend to be like kind of constant, so you definitely are losing out on some of those rewards. But what you should realize as well is that like as you go to LEB8, your share of the smoothing pool reward gets bigger because you're getting a higher percentage from other people. The really great thing about this data and the heat map that Hodja created was that it shows that um, you have to kind of be like a long-term person in order
Mm-hmm.
to switch to LEB8s. Otherwise, you might not see profits from that for quite a few months. Like even the best case scenario here on the sheet that you have, it will take 35 days to be profitable. Of course, and then you'll be profitable forever after that. But when I was covering this on Rocket Fuel, I was talking about how like at 30 Gwei and a 30-day queue, basically kind of like those average numbers would take months basically. This is one of the things that I was talking about before is like once that queue goes down to like just a couple of days or zero queue, I think that's when you'll start to see the really big whales like moving over to LEB8s because then their break even point comes down to like days instead of months. So for
Sure.
example, if gas is at 30 Gwei, which we haven't really hit in weeks, but if gas is at 30 Gwei and the queue is zero, then you can break you can break even in less than 3 months or around 3 months time, which is a lot more palatable than like 6 months plus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So on this chart here, I think the queue right now is about 11 days because we're moving about 200 to 300 mini pools a day. We got
Mm.
about say 20, was it 2,400? I did the
Yeah.
math earlier. So let's say 11 days. You know, if we look at the chart, we go down to say 30 Gwei, it's about 131 days where you'll break even on a 15% commission. So if you had 15% commission at 16 LEV, it would take about 130 days to break even.
Yeah.
And then Hodja broke it down with a 20%. If you had a 20% commission, 16 ETH LEV, that would take at 30 Gwei about 160 days. So it's
Yeah.
about a month longer, right? But you know, one of the things with Rocketpool is we're like a moth attracted to a flame in terms of the fundamentals, that the beliefs and values of Ethereum kind
Yeah.
of coincide with those with Rocketpool. You know, permissionlessness, decentralization. You're in this for the long term. So, you know, if it takes a few months to make it back, you're in this. I mean, I'm personally in this for years. So
Yeah.
a few months is like a little blip on the timeline here.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I guess, when you're literally running hundreds of validators, then it really does make a difference, right?
Sure.
Because you're losing that many months worth of revenue,
Right.
potentially. So I think that's one of the reasons why we might not see some of the bigger people convert until they can break even in less than 100 days, maybe, or like a few months.
Sure.
Hopefully, with hopefully maybe there's periods of gas coming down a little bit that might
Yeah.
come up.
Well.
It normally does kind of comes and goes in cycles, but that queue getting down to like 0 days or 1 or 2 days, I think that would be a big help towards getting some of our bigger operators moved over as well.
Yeah, and I think inevitably time will clear the queue out a little bit.
Hmm.
This meme mania that's going on right now with gas will
Yeah.
subside. It always does. Speaking of that, when we get high gas prices and a little bit of volatility, we get one benefit is the smoothing pool, the MEV
Yep.
smoothing pool that validators are able to share in is goes up. So far we've got 333 ETH in
Hmm.
it. I think you mentioned on the refuel, your standard
Rocket
is if we're
fuel.
do. I'm sorry, Anthony Sassano,
Yeah.
refuel rocket. Um, the anytime you get more than average 10 or more ETH per day
Yeah.
into the pool is a good thing. So we're
Yeah.
clipping at a good rate here.
Yeah, I think that number might need to change a little bit. Like, the benchmark number, it was that 10 ETH a day in the smoothing pool was like a good rate. However, we've got so many more people in the smoothing pool now that that number might need to be like kind of tweaked a little bit. This month has, like objectively been an amazing month. We're on track for an all-time high smoothing pool amount. I think we'll probably break 400 or just about get to 400 ETH in the smoothing pool, which will be a good, like, 35, I think, ETH more than the previous best, which was in March.
Mm.
Um, but that is being divided out by more people. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on about what the numbers will actually end up being. But that has been really, really great to see, that we've got the smoothing pools going really well, and
Mm.
those growth numbers for smoothing pools is just fantastic as well. 60% of mini pools, 75% of nodes. It's wonderful to see that the smoothing pool is such a great success. I know that Joe's very proud of the smoothing pool.
Yeah, it's a great feature.
Yeah.
Another reason to switch to Rocketpool if you're running a validator.
Yeah.
Our last headline is actually second last is
Hmm.
a HOP protocol has passed the bridging support for rETH. So this was initiated by Jasper and Dipsy from Rocketpool community, and it's great because it's one of those things logistically where we want to have rETH be able to be transferred easily back and forth between L1, L2, L2, L1, especially
Yeah.
with gas being so expensive. It makes, focuses on L2 even more. And it's
Hmm.
just really nice to have the rETH token now be part of the standard tokens that HOP supports. They
Yeah.
usually just support the main ones like Ethereum or ETH, USDC, etc. So
Yeah.
now our ETH is going to be part of that, and that's really awesome, and it'll be good for growth.
Yeah, it's really great because we really need to get the whole of like the Ethereum ecosystem, like the Ethereum communities, kind of shifting their thinking towards working on layer twos instead of working on layer ones, because as you can see, for the last few weeks, gas on layer one has been prohibitively expensive for like usual users, like myself, and
Yeah.
it's been really difficult to get transactions through, and like they've been really expensive. Whereas on layer twos, they cost a fraction of the price. I think it's like more than 90% cheaper. Um, as we move towards, hopefully a bull market coming in the next months or years, as much as the infrastructure we have in place to be able to deal with that, I think is going to be a huge benefit for all of us. And working on layer twos, I think is what we need to be doing. So Hop are kind of getting ahead of that with the rETH, and the IMC is already incentivizing rETH liquidity on Optimism and on Arbitrum now, and also hopefully coming to ZK Sync era. So we're really like starting to grow on layer twos. Sadly, there's limitations of what can be done on layer twos, so we won't be able to claim our RPL rewards or ETH rewards on layer twos. We won't be able to mint our ETH on layer twos. So those are the kind of things that will still be happening on layer ones, but
Mhm.
hopefully it'll be the case that people will buy our ETH on the secondary market on layer two, and then that will drive demand for people arbing that. So we'll get whales kind of minting on layer one and then bridging over to layer two to kind of arb that pretty much. But that's the way it's going to go. Also, shout out to Dibsy here because he just got voted the ambassador for the Hop protocol to the
Yeah.
Rocketpool community. So that's a really nice little thing that's happened there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. And now our final headline, we could spend the last couple of minutes talking about staking as a service. Blockscape Labs has deployed their staking as a service platform built on top of Rocketpool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the TLDR here is essentially sets up a marriage between those who have ETH, who maybe don't want to have to buy RPL. They just want to stick to ETH. And I've interacted with several people who felt that way.
Yeah.
They just want to hold ETH, keep it simple. And this provides an option where they can deposit their ETH. Blockscape will provide the RPL. It's kind of a
Mm-hmm.
marriage. And you can run your, obviously you don't have to have your own hardware. You can just have them administer this for you. Blockscape runs actually, they run Lido node operator. They're a
That's right.
Lido node operator, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So as you can see on the screen, they have 7,000 Lido validators that they're running, which is like in line with the bigger Lido operators that kind of max out at 7,000 per team. So the way that Blockscape, like you said, it's kind of like a marriage. So users will deposit their ETH. Blockscape has RPL in the background, so they kind of marry that together. Blockscape keeps the RPL rewards themselves, and any RPL appreciation that is accrued, they keep that for themselves. And then the user gets almost all of their staking rewards minus a very small fee. So they're keeping a very small fee from the ETH reward side as well. So it is like literally just like a marriage where they have their own RPL. They made statements on Twitter this week as well saying that they are happy to keep RPL. They're happy to buy into that the RPL like potential growth and into the Rocketpool community,
Mm-hmm.
which I really love that signaling,
Yeah.
like I'm really happy about that. One of the things that's really interesting here is what they're doing is that each time you deposit 8 ETH, you'll get an NFT for that represents your stake. And
Right.
then when you want to get your stake back, you'll burn that NFT to get your ETH back. So they've got like some like novel mechanisms that they're using to kind of like represent that your stake. And the I guess it's kind of like a receipt almost, but like in NFT form.
Yeah.
And that's the version that they're kind of putting together. It'll be interesting to see about like the tax status of that, because is it counting as a disposal and a purchasing of an NFT? Like that might be interesting. It might give them some limitations on what they can do. Of course, being a node operator is just a your own like wallet that you're depositing the ETH into. It's not a transaction of any sort. So that might be something to for people to keep an eye out on. But they've got a really nice mechanism here, and of course I've not used it. I don't even know if they're live yet. It seems like they've got 3 mini pools running from their OpenSea collection, but I think that we'll be getting other services like this coming as well, and it
Sure.
just makes sense. You know, it
Yeah.
just totally makes sense for the teams to keep the RPL rewards and give people higher returns on their ETH than they'll get from even like just minting our ETH, right? So node set, of course, you know,
Of course.
the that's built out of the Rocketpool community is working on similar ideas, and there's I'm sure others who are dabbling with this. We already know that there's some institutional investors who are doing this. There's like Dokia Finance, there's Long Island Blockchain, who are kind of taking their users ETH and or RPL and putting it on the Rocketpool. And I think that we're going to see this more and more. I remember
Yeah.
Ken once in a Twitter space or a talk that he gave said that he really expects there to be like a white label service that will get created on top of Rocketpool. So users won't even know that their ETH is interacting with Rocketpool. It'll all happen on the back end. They'll just give their ETH to, you know, XYZ person on the front, and everything will happen, and it'll be Rocketpool in the background. And I think that's one of those avenues towards really like propelling Rocketpool's growth in the coming months and years as well. So
Yeah. I mean, isn't it
that's
great? Yeah, you just build that. And so Rocketpool's built this foundation, and now
Mhm.
you'll have other protocols come and built right on top of it with no effort by the
Exactly,
Rocketpool team. It's all
exactly.
there. It
Yeah,
will increase growth.
yeah.
It's great. It's just good to see that you're going to get growth here from just because now you've grown a real stable platform that
Mhm.
others feel confident enough to go and expand your outreach to different types of folks out there who are interested in running validators for
Mhm.
different reasons without having to do XYZ. I can just simply dump it into this protocol and bam, I'm done.
Yeah,
It's great.
there are issues, of course, with this approach because it's a centralizing force on the Rocket Pool protocol. If you know Blockscape here comes and set up like 2,000 validators, they'll be taking up like 10% of the of the protocol, right? And
Right.
that's I think that's not good.
Hmm.
Um, but that's what I like what NodeSet are doing is what they'll be distributing the ETH out to existing Rocket Pool node operators for them to kind of run um, in addition to their existing nodes. And I think that mechanism will kind of um, feed into like that ethos of decentralization um, and like that basically in a way that it looks like Blockscape won't be doing. But at the moment, you know, like they're small and good luck to them, and I hope that they do grow. It's just it's something to keep an eye on whether like we might end up getting a lot of services like this built on top of Rocket Pool that end up taking up more than 50% of the protocol, basically. So
Right.
um yeah, just like on the Ethereum main chain, right? Like you have things like Lido and Rocket Pool and all these other services like Kraken, Binance, Coinbase, etc., taking up big chunks of the staking amounts.
Yep.
It might be that on a smaller scale on the Rocket Pool protocol, where
Right.
you'll get staking services taking up chunks of Rocket Pool, and we'll have to be careful and like we'll have to like really see how that's impacting things. But it's
Yep.
definitely
What a good problem to have down the
yeah,
road.
exactly.
We have too
Yeah,
many, we just have too much ETH on Rocketpool, and perhaps a little too concentrated, but
yeah.
we'll tackle that problem or that bridge when we get to it. So
Absolutely. Well, we already set foundations in place of having a cap, right? So,
right.
you know, the community's voted that in, and we'll look at that a lot more
Yeah.
seriously once we start getting above 10-15% of
Sure.
the market share. So,
Wouldn't
yeah,
that be nice? We'll be talking someday about 15% market share. That'd be a
absolutely.
5x from where we are right now.
Yeah, and
Uh,
yeah, that would be really good.
well, it's good to see you again, Whack. Of
Absolutely,
course,
Pat.
folks out there, none of this is financial, tax, professional, technical advice. We're just a
Exactly.
couple guys talking crypto. Be sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Whack, always good to see you.
You too. See you,
All right,
everyone.
bye bye.